Hello, welcome to Math Fest, and today I'm gonna talk to you about derivatives. And there are many ways to get the derivatives of functions out there, but today I'm gonna go with the basics. So the faster way to do this, when you have a function like this, f of x equals to 5x cubed minus 3 half of x squared plus 2 square root of x minus 3 over x squared. You can get the derivatives of each term and just like add them together at the end, and that will make it easier. So when you have a function like this and they're asking you to get a derivative, the faster way to do this is you can have this formula, the derivative formula. There is a definition of the derivative that you can use with like limits, but that will requires more steps. But this one is if you have a term like ax with the power n, and they ask you to get the derivative of this. Well, the derivative of this is n times a times x. So basically that whatever the power is, multiplied by the term. But now this time the power, you have to do n minus 1. So take 1 out of the power. So if it were power 2, then that means it would just be x. And then you multiply the 2 here. So let's say you have 2x squared, right? So the derivative of this will be what? 2 times 2 times x power to the power of 2 minus 1. So that in turn will be 4x, right? So that's your derivative there. And that's the faster way to actually solve this kind of problems. These are like the basics ones. So let's go ahead and start with that. Erase that. Okay, but, so yeah, that's the first formula. Second formula is the definition of the derivative, which says if you have trying to find f prime of x, you can do that equal to the limits of when h tends to 0 of f of ax plus h minus f of x, all that over h. So if you solve these limits, you'll find that you'll find the derivative. So earlier we used the example of 2x squared, right? So let's say that's our function. Now what would be f of x plus h? Well, f of x plus h is everywhere you see x in the function, replace that by x plus h. So we'll have what? In this function we have 2x squared, so our final function will be 2 times x plus h everything squared. That's our f of x plus h. So if you plug that in here and solve the limit, you'll find the same answer you found earlier. But today we'll just go with the basics, right? So I'll talk about the definition in my next video, so stay tuned for it. Alright, now let's go ahead and start this. Well, just leave it there. Alright, so this year, following this same formula right here, what would our 5x cubed would be. So basically multiply the whole term by the power, which is 3 times 5x, but 3 minus 1, so that would be 2, right? And then with this one here, 3 half, that's basically the coefficient. It doesn't really affect anything here, so don't let that disturb you or anything. So you just put the same thing, that 2 multiplies the whole term, so it will be 2 times 3 half times x, 2 minus 1, so that would be 1, right? And then the next one is 2 square roots of x, right? Now, when you have a term like this, it's really hard to just find the derivative like that right away. So you have to rewrite it on this form, rewrite it in this form. That way it will help you to better analyze it. So we know the square root of, let's say it's right here. If you have a square root of a like this, you can rewrite that as a to the power of 1/2, right? That is equal to that. So we can use the same thing here. We'll just write 2, I'm gonna put a little parenthesis here. Or maybe just work it out on this side first. So let's work it out here first. So we'll go 2 square root of x equals to what? 2 times x to the power of 1/2, right? So that's this. Now if you do this prime, if you try to find the derivative of this, we do prime as derivative. So if we try to find the derivative of this, just like we use this formula here, we're gonna apply it here. So we'll do 1/2 times 2 times x to the power of what? 1/2 minus 1 still, right? So all that will be equal to what? These 2 here and 2 here will cancel out, so you'll only be left with 1x to the power of 1/2 minus 1. That's negative 1/2, right? So that's your new derivative there. So this whole term here is equal to this when you derive it, right? So let's go ahead and write that here. So it will be x minus 1/2. And then you find this one. The next term is what? 3 over x squared. Just like I said, we're using this formula here, which is the fastest, by the way. So we have to rewrite this on this form, like in this form here. That way it will allow us to use this this formula here to derive this. So if we go ahead and use, let me choose a different pen color. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the same that we did with the square root here. So we'll have 3 over x squared. That can be written as what? So if you have, have this in mind. If you have 1 over a, that is also equal to what? A to the power of negative 1. Yeah, that's just how it is. You can research it, whatever, you'll find that that's what it equals to. So if we know that 1 over a is that, so that means we can rewrite this expression here as this: 3 times 1 over x squared, right? And then this 1 over x squared, we can rewrite it as 3 times x to the power of -2, right? So if we have this, now we can, derive it, our function really fast. So let's go ahead and derive this. X minus 2 prime, that means we have, just using that same formula here, we'll do what, -2 times 3 times x to the power of -2 minus 1. We always taking 1 from it, so that will be what, -6 to the power, times x to the power of -3, right? So that's our derivative there. Now that's our derivative, right? Now we also know that 1 over a is equals to a to the power of -1. So what is a to the power of -1? It is 1 over a, right? So this term here, x to the power of -3, will be what? 1 over x to the power of 3, right? So, and since we have -6 times that, it will be just -6. It will be this, -6 over x to the third. That's your derivative there. So let's go ahead and plug that here. Now it will be negative. We have -6 here, but remember we already had a negative in front of this, and we didn't use that, in our derivatives formula here. So that negative times negative, it's positive. So we'll have +6 over x to the third, yeah. So that's, basically your derivative thing there. But note, we have some things we can also simplify these expressions better. So let's go ahead and do that. 3 times 5, that's what, 15. 15x squared minus, 2 and 2 cancel out, so you have only 3x, because x to the power of 1 is just x, right? So plus, now x to the power of -1/2. That means it's 1 over x to the power of to the power of 1/2. But anything, remember, that has a power of 1/2 is a square root, right? So that, and then anything that has a negative power that means, it's 1 over that, whatever term it is. So we'll have 1 over x, but since it's power of 1/2, it can be square root, and then here we don't have anything to simplify. So this is, this is it. It's all you've been asked for. So alright, so if you want to see how to use the definition formula, which is here, with using limits, check out my next video, and I will work on that for you. Alright, subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to like the video. Have a good one.